and welcome back to Inside Out Front. It has been over 2 months since the brutal beating of Dr. David Dow, the passenger that was mauled by United Airlines security when he refused to exit the airplane and is now involved in a legal battle with the company. Now, a new video has surfaced revealing another United Airlines employee body slamming a 71-year-old Houston grandfather and frequent flyer to the ground, rendering him unconscious while other employees are captured standing around laughing and heckling the elderly, unresponsive man. Ronald Tigner, the victim of the brutal assault, is also involved in a multi-million-dollar lawsuit with the company. After much anticipation, United Airlines has finally stepped up and made some drastic changes to their policies in response to the massive backlash they received after the video of the incident went viral on social media. Joining us tonight is United Airlines CTO John Mathias to discuss his airline's new proposal to handle customers overbooked for their flights. Thank you for joining us, John. First of all, I'd like to ask you a few questions about the incident that prompted this new plan, the passenger that was beaten and dragged bloody off the United flight last week. You called that passenger belligerent in response to this controversy. Is that still how you feel?
Well, Carter, first of all, I'd like to thank you for having me on the program. And to your question, I think it's pretty clear to anyone that's ever flown on an airplane that the treatment this customer received was in line with the treatment that any passenger can routinely expect when they choose to fly. Airlines across America have a long, proud tradition of treating customers with the contempt and disgust they so obviously deserve. In keeping with this philosophy, I think the actions taken by our employees as well as the airport security should be fully expected, and this passenger absolutely had it coming.
Well, that certainly is a controversial stance, but one that I think will resonate with most people that have flown before. Now, if you could elaborate a bit on how your airline goes about this sadistic customer service, please.
Carter, there was a time when an airline, as well as others, provided an experience that took into consideration decency and respect for people's basic humanity. But what we found was this was not appealing to the masses of cattle that dredged through our terminals on a daily basis. So our airline decided to take another approach. We started researching the best ways to satisfy people's sadomasochistic tendencies. We brought in ex-KGB scientists to design new seats that place people in what they call a stress position, making people more susceptible to the dehumanizing service of our staff. We started turning on fasten seatbelt signs for no reason. We changed our pillows and blankets to have the same tactile feel as sandpaper, and our bags and nuts were designed to be virtually unable to be opened even by the strongest of passengers. We created a new pricing model that is absolutely inscrutable so people could pay wildly different amounts for the same flight. These practices are really just the tip of the iceberg in a system that revels in the misery and suffering of people. So Carter, this latest passenger beaten and dragged off the flight is typical of the kind of customer service we provide on a daily basis.
Interesting approach. Now, John, can you talk a little bit more about the incident that precipitated this controversy?
Yes, Carter. This was a perfectly normal event caused by a long-standing tradition of overbooking our flights. This is a perfectly common and reasonable industry practice and often results without incident. Generally speaking, some passengers won't show up for their flight or will change flights. In extreme cases, though, passengers will sometimes have to be stored in the undercarriage, the rear compartments, or even strapped to the wings of the plane. Without overbooking flights, our company wouldn't be able to make more money than what the services we offer are actually worth, which I think we can all agree is obviously not acceptable.
Well, John, I think that probably does confirm a lot of customers' suspicions that the airlines have secretly been torturing us for years. But you're here today to discuss a new proposal your airline is creating to address some of the backlash you've received from this latest incident. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, Carter. Thank you for that question. To be honest, we've been surprised by the backlash we've received for what we considered a pretty routine incident of beating a customer. But to address any of the concerns people may have out there, we are instituting a new policy that on any overbooked flight, in order to dole out the available seats in the most fair and equal way possible, we will be instituting what we are calling the seat assignment fighting pits. In the most basic sense, this will be a ring in which two passengers who overbooked for their flight have the opportunity to get in the ring and fight to the death to decide which one gets a seat. We believe this will address any concerns our customers have or whether or not they will get a seat on a flight that they paid for, even when we decided to sell more seats than there were available.
Well, that certainly sounds like a new and innovative way to address this issue. Now, would you describe for us how these fighting pits will work?
So normally, on every flight, Carter, we sell far more seats than our planes are able to accommodate. Normally, this isn't a problem. Passengers don't show up for a multitude of reasons, but when too many passengers do come and we have to figure out how to assign the limited seats we have available, we run into a problem. Until now, we have never had an effective way to choose which customers get the privilege to take the flight that they paid for. That will no longer be the case, Carter, but this new plan, all of our overbooked customers will get an equal chance to win a seat on the flight by simply fighting to the death. These fighting pits will be set up right in the terminal to offer the most convenient customer experience possible. Two passengers at a time will fight tournament style, so the winner of one match will go on to fight the winner of another until there's a requisite number of passengers left, depending on the number of seats we have available. And Carter, I'd like to assure you that we will take the utmost care in disposing of the carcasses of the losers. We are already in the process of building an industrial-grade furnace to handle all of the human remains. We will have a quick and easy cage set up by United employees, placed in the center of the gate, and the rest of the passengers will form an impromptu audience, ensuring once two customers enter the pit, only one comes out. We think this will make running into incidents like last week's completely obsolete.
So once these overbooked flyers are in the ring battling to the death, how will it work from there?
Well, Carter, we are trying to maintain a certain level of integrity in our fights. To us, this means putting the fewest amount of restrictions on the fighters as we possibly can. What we want is every passenger to have as an equal opportunity to kill a person in order to get a seat on a plane as possible. We think this means giving people leeway to bite, pull hair, target genitals, and any other method that a passenger can think of to make their opponent dead as quickly as possible. Here at United, we are committed to providing the absolute fairest death match we can.
So the fights, will they be bare hands only?
Yes, Carter, at least initially. We want to ensure we create a safe and efficient fighting pit before we choose to refine the process. This means our pits will be bare hands only at first, though I'm sure a few of our more creative passengers will think of clever ways to use their clothing or opponent's hair as a strangling device. But Carter, we are definitely workshopping ways to innovate the process. Some ideas are being tossed around are throwing a sharpened stick in the middle of the ring if the passengers are having trouble dealing the death blow, or lining the walls of the cage with barbed wire. One day, I even hope to keep a store of weapons available such as maces, swords, and spiked brass knuckles, and having each passenger choose one before each fight. At United, we want to always be growing and innovating to provide our customers the most horrifying and nightmarish experience possible.
Well, you definitely seem to be accomplishing that goal. Now, will you pit men against women in these fights to the death?
Absolutely, Carter. We have the utmost respect for women, and they think they are fully capable of competing with men in all areas of life, from earning the same wage for the same job to facing the man in the field of Mortal Kombat.
Well, that's quite progressive of you. And we look forward to seeing if this new plan truly affects the way we fly. Thank you again for joining us tonight, John.
Thank you, Carter.
And we'll be right back after a short break.